Okay, good morning all. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's, I don't know, what is it? 8:31, according to Verizon. Would you call, Vin, would you call roll, please?
Yes, but before I do so, there's a quick intro video I'd like to play.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
For written communications, please send an email to hrb@cityofpaloalto.org. Spoken comments using a computer will be accepted through the Zoom teleconference meeting. To address the board, go to zoom.us/join. Meeting ID is 96800 197512. You will be asked to enter an email address and name. We request that you identify yourself by name, as this will be visible online and will be used to notify you that it is your turn to speak. When you wish to speak on an agenda item, click on Raise Hand. The moderator will activate and unmute your speakers in turn. When called, please limit your remarks to the time limit allotted. The timer will be shown on the computer to help keep track of your time. Spoken public comments using a smartphone will be accepted at the Zoom teleconference meeting. To address the commission, download the Zoom application onto your phone from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and enter meeting ID 96800197512. Please follow steps A through D. Spoken public comments using a regular phone, call 1-669-900-6833 and enter meeting ID 96800197512. When you wish to speak on an agenda item, hit *9 on your phone so we know that you wish to speak. You'll be asked to provide your first and last name before addressing the board. You will be advised how long you have to speak. When called, please limit your remarks to the agenda item and time limit allotted. For written communication.
Okay, I will call the roll. Chair Bauer?
Present.
Vice Chair Shepard? It looks like you're muted.
Okay, present.
Board Member Heinrich?
Present.
Board Member McKinnon?
Present.
Board Member Pease?
Present.
Board Member Willis?
Present.
Board Member Wimmer?
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Vin. Let's do oral communications. Are there any people, any viewers who are interested in making a comment on anything not on the agenda, Vin?
Chair Bauer, we do not have any oral communications.
Okay, let's do agenda changes, additions, or deletions. We don't have much on the agenda, but any changes, Amy?
No changes.
Okay, let's move to the first action item, which is officer election. As you know, or most of you know, I'm going to be on the board. I'll stay on the board until the end of my term. Good morning, Councilman Cormack. Now that we can see everybody, welcome. I think I've done enough as chair to step aside and let somebody else pick it up and run with the baton. So we need to elect a new chair, a new vice chair, because Debbie is moving and this will be her last meeting. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Debbie for your service and all of the information you share with us from the Santa Clara County Historic Committee that you sit on. So we can either discuss this. Anybody want to make a nomination? Anyone like to volunteer as chair? Well, don't all speak up at once. There are lots of opportunities, and you get to meet all your council members on a regular basis. You get to interact with Amy a lot. It's a wonderful experience. I highly recommend it. Michael, are you have any interest in doing this?
At the present time, I'm going to have to decline that. There's some health issues within our family that are going to preclude me from taking on additional responsibilities. I'm sorry to say. I have served in that post in the past, but I've just got some family members that have required my attention right now. And it's going to be a full-time job. I'll almost take care of some of my family members.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's never easy. I'll just go down the line by seniority on the board. Margaret, you've been vice chair. Any interest?
Yes, I really enjoyed supporting the board as the vice chair, but I just feel like I am overwhelmed with my work obligations, and I actually potentially might have a project or two that I need to present in front of the board in this next year. So I'm kind of hesitant to take on that main role for those two reasons. But I love the fact that we have some great, enthusiastic new members. And while I'm speaking, I would like to nominate Caroline Willis. She's been on the board before. She's very informed. She has a lot of great experience. She's very enthusiastic. So I would like to nominate Caroline as our fearless leader for the next term.
Well, thank you, Margaret. I was going to nominate Kristen because he's another new member who has energy and interest. And it would be, and Caroline, of course, is also expressed interest in some initiatives which are very important to the HRB. So I would be very pleased if either of you two would like to step up. And Gogo, that doesn't mean I'm leaving you out of the mix. I just have heard from Carolyn and Kristen about some initiatives that they'd like to move forward. Kristen, do you have any interest in this? Would you help with this?
Well, actually, I do have an interest, but unfortunately, I'm still running a business and just contributing to the work plan as it unfolds. I don't think I would have the time to do a proper job. But I appreciate the confidence you have in me.
Well, maybe you'd be, Carolyn, would you be willing to be chair?
I am.
Good. Well, let me, Kristen, maybe you could be, not co-chair, you could take the position Debbie has had.
Vice chair.
Vice chair, thank you.
I would be delighted to do that, but I don't want to lead position. So I'd be happy to back up and support Carolyn if she takes the chair, if she decides to do that.
Good. Well, listen, Margaret's nominated Carolyn as chair, and I would second that nomination. Excuse me, I don't know if we need to do these serially or if we could do both of these nominations at the same time. I nominate Kristen as the vice chair then. And is there a second for that nomination?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion for Carolyn to be chair and Kristen to be vice chair, which has been seconded. Both have been seconded. Any discussion, board members?
I would like to say that if I do chair the HRB, I expect something to happen. I expect us to meet more often, develop some real goals, maybe not big ones, just little ones, but I'd like to feel like we're making some progress and accomplishing a few things during the next year. So if you just want to sit on your hands, do not vote for me.
Thank you for that. Kristen, you want to say anything and make any statement or comments?
Well, I think, you know, it sounds like workshops are a big deal to put together. I would like to see if we don't have properties in the docket to review, that perhaps we, from time to time, have meetings where we look at our work plan, evaluate where we are, and kind of keep that motivated and moving and alive. Does that make sense?
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. Gogo, any comments? Any
I'm
thoughts?
happy to support both Kristen and Caroline, so I'm available.
Great. Let's see, we've heard from everybody, I think. Michael, any other comments?
Well, do I take it that you're definitely a no, David?
Yeah, no, I don't have any time right now for anything other than my remodeling project.
Right.
Which you can see behind me. All right, so if there are no other comments or any other information you want to share, I'd like to call for a vote. I guess we'll do it one at a time. So could I see hands for electing Carolyn as the new chair of the HRB? Just raise your hand so that everybody can see. That looks to me like it's unanimous. Congratulations, Carolyn. And now for Kristen as vice chair, same thing. Please show of hands for all those that support Kristen. Once again, unanimous, very good. Okay, so congratulations to both of you. Now we'll change chairs as we used to do in the council chambers. And Carolyn, you can take over the meeting as new chair. Congratulations.
I
Carolyn,
think you need to unmute.
You're on mute, Carolyn.
Oh, well, there you go. So I'm not really Zoomy, and it's been a long time since I chaired an HRB meeting, so I'm not totally prepared for my role here. But I think we'll just move on to our schedule of meetings and assignments. And Amy, is that who's taking that one?
Yeah, I can talk about that, and Vin generally will share the screen to show the upcoming meeting dates. And it is summer, so there are some vacations in the offing. We don't have a major project that is on the docket for July, but certainly we could meet in July. We'll still be on remote or Zoom meetings until further notice. I believe there is talk of coming back to a hybrid model. This could potentially be as early as August, but that has not been confirmed. So then if you could increase the size of that, I don't know if that's possible. We're seeing our upcoming regular scheduled dates. We have 2 calendar dates every month that we could meet. Again, due to the paucity of projects, we haven't been meeting that regularly. In fact, this last time around, it was about 5 meetings throughout the reporting period for the CLG report. So here we are today, and we have upcoming. Does anyone have an issue with any of these dates? Probably let Vin or myself know, so we can, try to get the next meeting date secured or confirmed. I believe we'll just go ahead and cancel the July 8th, if that's all right. It's near the holidays, and folks may be already having plans with the anticipation that we're meeting today and not in 2 weeks. So, but you're the chair. You can give us an example of a meeting date that you think would be good to meet next. We can have a retreat.
So if we do a retreat, are we restricted to Zoom, or can we do an in-person retreat?
I could explore it. I'm thinking maybe look towards August, when city staff will start to come back into the building. So I'll be better equipped to secure say a meeting room in City Hall or the chambers or something.
So as a prelude to that, could we do July 22nd and review subcommittee assignments and talk vaguely about how we want to organize ourselves for the next year? And then I would still like to do an in-person retreat just because I think there's a different kind of connection you get when you have a little downtime and you're not Zooming.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so maybe show of hands so that we could understand if there are any absences on July 22nd through a Zoom meeting.
So show of hands for people who cannot make it.
Okay, looks like everyone's had enough time to check their calendar. We're good to go. It would be 6 members then, because as noted, Debbie was making this her last meeting. So, and I understand that the city clerk will be advertising for the soon to be vacated position, but with a grouping. So we may not have a 7th member until December or something. I don't know.
Carolyn?
Dave.
So let me ask, I'm assuming that Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, we're not going to have a meeting. I mean, not being facetious about Thanksgiving, it's never happened.
No,
correct.
I think we can cancel those.
Right. And then I'm wondering about the 23rd of December, because that's 2 days before Christmas and people travel. Typically, we don't do that, but I'm just, so those 3 meeting dates probably are not going to exist. And then that leaves a more truncated schedule for what we need to get done. Okay, great. Thank you.
And I guess along that line, I would like to encourage everybody to be available on December 9th, just because I think that we kind of lose momentum when we wait too long. And I know we'll all be thinking about other things, but let's at least plan on doing that. Thank you. Then Amy, good to have a schedule.
Yeah.
As it may be. So are we moving on to our draft work plan? I know we discussed it briefly the last time we were together, but Amy, are there further things we want to talk about with that?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and show my screen. I have a small presentation. The last time we were talking about work plans, it was this CLG, required annual report that we sent to the Office of Historic Preservation. And so we accomplished that. I sent it in back in April, May. So this is something new and different, although you'll see some commonalities, obviously. So hopefully you all saw the report, and I will go ahead and upload my screen now to share so we have something all to look at. Give me a moment. Okay, wait, I need to, hold on. Okay, I need to, first, hold on. It's always tricky. That button that says share entire screen, okay. Did that work? Sorry, wasn't sure if that worked. Okay, let me try that again.
We can see your screen.
Oh, is it the entire screen though?
It is, yes.
Okay, perfect.
But you're not in presentation mode yet.
Oh, shoot. Okay, that's what I'm doing wrong. That's the button, I believe. Yay. I'm going to hide this annoying button. Okay, first of all, first things first.
I think you're going to want to swap your screen as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, swap. Goodness. Technology. You'd think after a year I'd have this down. So here's just a quick slide. Debbie had graciously opened her home for an HRB retreat and meeting, her lovely historic resource home. That was a lovely, lovely, I believe it was in December, because there I am again wearing my Christmas ugly sweater. So thank you, Debbie, for your service as the vice chair, and your attention to all matters HRB, as well as your work with the county that involved the Stanford area, which is humming along. I don't know if you want to mention anything towards the end of the meeting about how that's going, but
I will.
Anyways, thank you. So here's our HRB work plan. I found some old images, which I always love to bring up. Here's an image of, Professorville or something with a dirt street back in the day. So as we noted back at the last meeting, we have this new handbook, and the handbook talks about a plan, a work plan, and these are the items that are intended to be part of that plan. For this year, it was a truncated review period, so truncated, in fact, that we did not have a meeting before I could get that into the council's hands. So council already saw the work plan on June 21st, this last Monday. And the council accepted those work plans for this year and did not add items. The HRB, of course, could add items or issues during the year. And also then we'll have the opportunity to tackle next year's, the fiscal year, next fiscal year. Oops.
Amy, could I
yes,
just say,
please.
yeah, let me just explain, if I may. Good morning, everyone, that all of the work plans were on consent. So there was no discussion and nothing was pulled from consent. So while it was reviewed, it was not an action item or discussion. So just so everybody knows.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Yeah, it wasn't, as Councilmember Cormack noted. Thank you. With our work plan, we cite what the purview is of the HRB in the work plan. So, this is directly from the code, what the HRB's purview is. So that's always helpful for the public and council and anyone else to understand what the code says the HRB's purview is. So we can come back to this anytime. This again was the chart that I had prepared, and it drew from our CLG report. So the CLG report, as noted, goes in April, May of every year, and looks at the prior year, basically October through September. So this work plan is going for the fiscal year, and we get it turned in at the end of this next fiscal year for the next year. So this is what we have on our plate, is to continue doing what we're doing, right? So reviewing alterations to historic resources, and the code says what the HRB's charge is there, the purview, and support implementation of the comprehensive plan policies. We've been doing, a good job, I think, of implementing this policy from the latest comp plan that had us evaluating properties for California Register, so that we don't see demolitions of California Register eligible properties. We get information on that, and using our professional qualified consultant to do those evaluations at the cost of the property owner. So I think I've presented, information about that in the past. So inventory upgrades and nominations. Of course, we did several of those in the last period, upgrading from categories 3 to categories 2. And, we look forward to future opportunities there. And then outreach. And so this is something that I think would ideally have a retreat and talk through, share, look at the web pages and all of that, and see, how are we doing with sharing what our program is and what the opportunities are, incentives in the code, and more about tax incentives that are available through higher agencies than local. So and then of course discussion of the additional historic preservation policies in the comprehensive plan, and I have those here on slides if we'd like to talk about that. And finally, the Tailored Meals Act program discussion, which had a pause back in the spring of 2018 when we found ourselves reduced staffing-wise for our historic program. And now we have a reduced ad hoc committee, I guess we call it now. We had a subcommittee comprised of David Bauer and Margaret Wimmer, and I believe Brandon Corey, who had left the board a while back. To reform some kind of ad hoc committee we'd want to have probably 3 members again, and look to kickstarting that again. So I have here, if anyone wants to examine any of these, we have our comprehensive plan goal L7, which has some fairly robust policies associated. And so I have this on the screen. Here are some other policies related to that goal. And finally, these policies. I believe that's the conclusion. Oh, here's another one. So we do have quite a number of policies that would be a good topic for a retreat to examine some of those and discuss some of those. I believe that's all. Oh, I had this fun image that I found of the parade back in the day. So if anyone would like me to return to any of these, I think I'll just go ahead and put this back up. If anyone wants to talk about the chart that we had submitted this year, let me know. And I'll conclude by just leaving this on the screen. And if somebody wants me to move to a different slide, please let me know.
Amy, I have a question about the the inventory upgrades and nominations. Can you tell the board what happened with the application for the mid-century modern survey of Palo Alto? I think we had a grant application that we've had ready for what, 3 years? Did that move forward at all?
Yes. No. So there was an opportunity, once again, it's every May, to submit this grant application. And, we did have, I had this past year received an estimate of cost from our lead consultant that we use for the program. So I had everything in place to do that, but a decision was made not to move forward again, because of the uncertainty with the budget and the lack of a dedicated staff member for the program. So so that happened and the deadline's passed. We can talk again, and I think it would be great if this next year we can take that on and get permission and support to submit that, because it does feel like it's been on the back burner for a few years now.
Well, I find that very frustrating, and frankly, that completely unsupportive of the HRB on the part of whoever makes that decision. The fact that this grant, which is free money to the city, can't be submitted because we can't find staff funding, even in this difficult time, is totally unacceptable. Why is it that after 3 years of having no planning staff support, that's money that was saved? Why isn't that money available to move this forward?
Actually, could I ask who does decide that?
Well, it's a combination of, budget cuts. So we did have positions cut, from our budget in prior years. And, so we were in the budget cycle for this year, and it was uncertain what was going to happen. And of course, we are able to use salary savings for consultant help, but it's a little harder to commit to hiring a full-time position with uncertainty in budgets. So,
I'm sorry, let me just follow up. I understand the context and the circumstances, but my question is, who decides that?
Well, I'll just say the Director Late would make that decision, and in consultation with folks that are, deciding the budget, and that's who I speak with each year about whether or not to submit.
Debbie.
We have quite a few initiatives. We have the housing element, and it's the same staff that are tapped to do so many things. Yeah,
but if this thing was pretty much ready to go out the door, I don't understand that.
Well, yeah, it's not that the grant application needs more work. It's that if we get awarded the grant, it will require some staff work to focus on that.
Debbie, do you have a question?
I don't know if it's possible to use these funds in the interim for this idea, or maybe there's another way to do it. But if staff availability is an issue, couldn't you outsource at least to a consultant a public program to raise awareness about mid-century architecture in Palo Alto? Just as an aside, Stanford is going to be tearing down a mid-century building, the Lou Henry Hoover Memorial Building, which is immediately to the left of Hoover Tower. It's a low white structure with very distinctive colonnade of white arches. I'm sorry to report that the County of Santa Clara has approved the demolition permit, and the Historical Heritage Commission did vote to support staff recommendation, although they qualified it with some advice as to adjustments which could be made to the design for the new building, which is taller, more massive, and some felt not responsive to context. And the zoning administrator hearing officer disregarded those bits of advice. So I think we're going to see other mid-century buildings coming down at Stanford in the relatively near future. And I just see this as an opportunity for Palo Alto to take the lead and at least start educating people about our churches alone, as an example. Thank you.
I guess that wasn't so much a question, but thank you for giving us some context for the mid-century modern. So I think that is something that we want to talk about in a month when we are together again. And if we could, I like the idea of workshops or online tours, or there's a million ways to approach it. If we could each think about how we would like to see it done. And I think there are resources aside from staff that could do a lot of things. I think some of the members of the past community would help us with some legwork if that's needed. I had a question for Amy. I'm wondering, when we do our little breakout groups, can we have members of the public also on those?
Sure, if we, as part of a retreat I
was thinking
I don't think we can.
Are the ad hoc committees restricted to board members? Oh,
we could arrange those to be available to the public to attend, of course. We can. I just don't know about the technology. Vin would be tapped to help with breakout rooms if we're going to do something like that.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking breakout rooms because that's way too techy for me. But I was thinking that ad hoc committees are a way to move things forward. And I think, especially since we're a reduced board of 6, and many of us are new, we could really benefit from some outside effort. And it seems like it also might be a good way to lead people onto joining the HRB. So I'm just wondering if they can be committees of both HRB members and community members.
Actually, you've touched on a point that I wanted to raise anyway after now attending 2 of the annual conferences for the Foundation, Preservation Foundation. There were a number of reports during that, or presentations during that, about cities much larger than Palo Alto that have done a very good job of crowdsourcing a lot of work for preservation, including data entry, including recording of structures before they're demolished, a number of things that are happening in that regard. It seemed very interesting to me. And if we're going to be chronically short of staff, and if staff is going to bottleneck, that shortage is going to bottleneck progress, I think that's something we ought to discuss in this outreach beyond financial incentives, which I think we should do, but in this market seem less than adequate to be compelling in many cases, for example. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could summarize that a little bit for us and send us like a little mini report on, is that possible for, what other cities?
You mean live right now, or?
No, I just meant.
Okay, sure. I can
do something up, and just so we can sort of think about how it might happen.
That'd be great. Sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
If I might, member Pease, if you could send that directly to me or Vin or both, and then we can distribute to the board. We always have to be careful about that communication method. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the slides you had on the comp plan, can you send those to us too?
Yes.
I think we got the first, intro, but I thought the ones on the comp plan was a good way to summarize those historic. Those were relevant to us particularly. I kind of want the notebook, that we give to new HRB members that kind of gives us the relevant parts of the code without having to look through everything ourselves. Does something like that exist?
We have our web pages that have that page on incentives that have links, but I will compile something and send that out to the board along with the comp plan policies, so we can kind of reinvigorate our discussions and get ready for our retreat.
Thank you. Wow, I have a million notes here. I guess we better finish with the agenda. I have some questions, just general questions on things, but where are we in the agenda? Somebody help me.
Oh, so we're still on the work plan. Just it's pretty much because there's no need for the HRB to adopt this work plan because it's already been transmitted. But if there are comments on the work plan, I guess we should handle those. I mean, certainly we could consider at the retreat to review the work plan again, and if there's some changes that want to be made, we can revise it at that time.
Yeah, I think that might be a primary goal for our next meeting, is to sort of focus in on if there's anything missing from the work plan, and how we might get from point A to point B. Thank you. So now help me.
So there's
Carolyn,
minutes.
Yeah,
is the next item.
Yeah, minutes is next, Carolyn.
Oh, the minutes. Okay. Do people have corrections to the minutes? Okay, I'm going to start. On page 8, I believe it was, of the minutes, some of my remarks were attributed to Margaret. I think Wimmer and Willis are way too similar. I don't know who's going to change their name. But so looking at page 8 of the minutes, starting sort of halfway down, where it's board member Wimmer, it's Willis, and the follow-up paragraph And this brings me to the fact that I really don't like these verbatim minutes. When are we switching?
Shortly. I think,
Okay.
Ben, would you want to weigh in on that and tell us the timeline for that?
Yeah, we can start doing that for this meet.
Yay. And then at the top of page 9, there's one more. The very first paragraph was Willis rather than Wimmer.
Thank you.
But I think it will be much easier to review them when we have a little more consolidated minutes. So hallelujah, we're going that way. I just had a few, I'm going to take advantage of having the floor here. If I can, I'm so disorganized, I apologize.
Carolyn,
Excuse me, Chair Willis, are we still on the minutes?
Yes, do you have other?
Yeah, I had my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm on page 2, and it looks in Ms. French's description of the study session. It says our I quit guidelines. I'm wondering if that's perhaps a reference to something else. The long paragraph from Ms. French on page 2 of the minutes, about 2/3 of the way down, it says we did get 2 awards for our I quit guidelines, and I'm wondering if that maybe refers to something else.
Might be Eichler.
Eichler guidelines.
Okay, I just
I didn't say I quit.
Yeah,
Not this year.
Thought we should clarify that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I didn't even notice. Thank you, Allison. Any other corrections to the minutes? And then do we need to vote and approve them?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Debbie. And all in favor? And carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry. Chair, again, I raised my hand, but I just want to interrupt one more time. Apologies for that. Ms. French, the clerk has advised us that we actually have to do oral roll calls, that visual is not acceptable. Is that, yes. Am I right with that? Okay. So yes. Just sharing that with the HRB, that raising your hand does not constitute a vote. So up to Ms. French and the board chair, but
thank you. No, the raising of hands was fine when we're talking about, can you make that meeting or not, date wise. But yeah, when it comes to official action, we do need to call for the votes. So I'm confirming that.
So can I?
And also I should say those who were not at the meeting should be abstaining when they do vote because they were not part of that meeting.
So do we need to vote one by one, or can we just?
Yes.
Okay.
And Ben can help with that as well.
Good. Ben, would you please?
Let me interrupt and say that I think we need to then have a roll call vote on chair and vice chair, because we did a vote by hand.
Oh, oops.
My fault. Apologize.
Setting a bad example.
I know, terrible.
So Ven, can you, let's first approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll take a roll call vote for the minutes. Board Member Bauer?
Yes.
Board Member Heinrich?
Yes.
Board Member McKinnon?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pease?
Yes.
Board Member Shepard?
Yes.
Chair Willis?
Yes.
Board Member Wimmer?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And can we back up? Should we repeat the nominations, you think? Dave, what do you think?
I think the nominations were all appropriately made and seconded. So it's just the vote to approve the nominations that we need to have, I think, to qualify, need to be done as we just did the minutes.
Well, would you make the statement? Because I feel silly.
Sure, okay. So as former chair, we all need to vote on the record for the new chair, which is Carolyn, and the new vice chair, which is Kristen. Do we need to do these separately, or can we do both of these votes? I guess we have to do them separately. So let's do them separately. Vin, could you call roll for approval of Carolyn as the new chair?
Yes. Board Member Bauer?
Yeah, let's see. I approve.
Board Member Heinrich?
Yes.
Board Member McKinnon?
Yes.
Okay, Vice Chair Pease?
Sorry.
Vice Chair Pease? Your vote?
For Carolyn as chair, Kristen.
Oh, yes. I didn't hear that. Sorry. I was garbled on this end.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Chair Willis?
Yes.
Wimmer?
Margaret, you're there.
Yeah, sorry, my little thing wouldn't work. Sorry, yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you. The motion carries 7-0.
Good. And then could you do the same thing to poll board members to approve nomination of Kristen as vice chair, please?
Board Member Bauer?
Yes.
Board Member Heinrich?
Yes.
Board Member McKinnon?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pease?
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Chair Willis?
Yes.
Board Member Wimmer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, David. So I think we're done with our agenda. Is there anything else anybody else wants to bring up at this point? Debbie?
I just want, can I make a couple of announcements? Is this the right time? Okay. Well, first of all, I wanted to say how much I've enjoyed serving on this board. And I wanted to encourage you all to let others know about Leadership Palo Alto, which I assume will go forward after this time, because, you know, I was new here 5 years ago, and that's how I learned about this opportunity. And, you know, I have learned so much and have enjoyed doing other related things because of the experience. The first thing I wanted to announce, I think hopefully everyone knows because you're following the saga of the Palo Alto History Museum, but apparently the City Council did vote at their last meeting to extend the lease, everything in their efforts to restore the building, including using grant money that's been awarded from the county for the roof. I mean, everything was held up. And so now apparently this is the green light and there will be great momentum again, I hope. Let's see. Oh, and I just wanted to report quickly about the community stakeholder group in the San Juan Hill neighborhood and the survey. It's done. The whole thing is over. The county commissioned this survey, I think 15 months ago. The consultant was ESA, ESA, and that community group met 5 times. The county planning department is making its recommendations at the next Board of Supervisors meeting. May have already happened, actually. And they have 3, let's see, just to back up. The survey found 4 potential historic districts. They found 180 historic homes, or at least that are probably eligible. They did not do HSAs as was initially proposed in the contract for 15 structures. And basically as a result of the survey, nothing new will be added to the historic resource inventory. But the appendix does exist with all of the data that have already been collected by the Stanford Historical Society and their many wonderful publications. But anyway, it's there as a resource. The planning staff is not proposing to go forward with any historic districts, which is to the great relief of people in the community, because unfortunately, coming out of this, people are even more confused about what that might mean. They think it's expensive, they think it's invasive, they don't understand that it might increase the value of their homes. So as an aside, I know you all are probably going to be thinking about what to do in your retreats and training that you might have. And Isa did a really nice 30-minute presentation for us about historic districts generally. which was at the very end of the process, but better late than never. Anyway, I have to say, when I came here to Palo Alto, I didn't know anything about our historic districts, and they're looking pretty good now after this experience that I've been through. And it might be helpful for some of the newer people or returning people if you just had a little brush up about what we have, how we got there, and how well it's working now, I think would be interesting to look at. Anyway, so going forward, there will be no historic districts, there will be no additions to the historic resource inventory unless someone applies for a demolition permit or major renovation. And the three choices that staff is giving to the supervisors are: 1, continue the status quo. The status quo is a little better than it was when it started because staff did go back and look at the 2000 general use permit. Where they found in the historic resources section, there were regulations that were not being enforced either by the county or by Stanford. And so they are attempting to be more vigilant. The second option is to invest money in further research around one or more of these historic districts. I'm sure there will be absolutely no appetite for that because there's no money for it and there's no community support. The third plan, which is, I think, hopefully what they will do, is to work with the Stanford Community Plan, which will give possibly an opportunity in the future to restrict increasing density on these large lots in the San Juan Hill neighborhood. I think part of how this all came about was there were concerns that buildings were being left derelict homes and would be torn down, and more units would be built on those properties. So the thought is, within the community plan, it's possible that they could restrict density there, but only if they find other housing that is dense, locations for it elsewhere on campus. And so needless to say, that's going to be a very long process. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. It's nice to have that Stanford connection brought in. It's nice to learn from other people's efforts too. Thank you. Anybody else before we?
May I? Thank you so much. So
your hand, finally.
Okay. Well, no, I had my virtual hand up, but it must be hard to see. Just wanted to say about the Palo Alto History Museum, the council, just a minor correction, did not vote to extend the lease. There is no lease. We voted to direct staff to work to create a lease. And the funding is quite complicated. If anyone's interested in where it came from, I'm happy to explain that and why I voted against using the funding in that manner at another time. But mostly I just wanted to thank Ms. Shepard for her service. I'm so sorry that we're not in person. And I can't shake your hand and wish you all the best. Thank you for serving on the Historic Resources Board. The City Council and the community appreciates it. And we're glad you've been part of our community and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. I'm actually moving to Chevy Chase Village, which is an historic district in Maryland. It's the first streetcar suburb. So I'm not giving up on this. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Allison. And I want to thank Council for approving the funding for the Roth building. I know it's been a long slog and, you know, maybe it wasn't the best use of those particular funds, but it's really hard to encourage preservation in Palo Alto when, okay, let me rephrase. It's much easier to encourage preservation in Palo Alto when the city is on board with its own properties. So we're very grateful that it did happen. In regards to our next meeting, which I think is July 22nd, I hope you all will be there. I think the two subcommittees I see in the future this year are one on the Mills Act and one on public engagement. So if you all want to think about where you might engage with either one of those, I'd like to see everybody do one or the other. I had a brief question for Amy. The attachment on 123 Sherman that I didn't see at our last meeting, did somebody at least get back to them and acknowledge that letter? I know it's not historic by our 50-year definition, but I just wanted to make sure we weren't, that we had acknowledged it. Dave or Amy, did anybody acknowledge his request? No.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
Well,
yeah, I'm not here.
You're not either? So I looked back at the minutes from the April meeting, and there was an attachment, and it was a nice letter from this man about a house that was built in the commercial district near Fry's, and he was requesting, some assistance from the HRB. It had been in Sunset.
Oh, that's 340 Sherman. I think.
Yeah,
that's
different address.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was 123, but okay. Anyway.
No, that's okay.
Sorry. Did somebody get back to him? No.
Yeah, I believe I responded to that particular email. I can, if you would like, I can unearth that and share with you. And Ms. Willis, I think we are due to have our first meeting to chat about upcoming retreat, et cetera. So I think we'll make an appointment and go through this kind of thing, like what does staff do when we receive such correspondence and this kind of thing. Okay. So yeah.
Sounds good. And the last thing to say, but Dave, you go.
I just wanted to make a comment since we're talking about the Fry's site. I don't know how many board members have been following the conversation and the committee that's been working on development of that site, but once again, the committee came up with nothing that works in terms of historic preservation of Fry's. The worst recommendation for the Fry's building, which is an incredibly important historic building in Palo Alto and California history, was to tear it down and replace it with multiple units. The last, I think, Plan 3B, which was discussed extensively at council, I think. I didn't hear the council meeting, but even that proposal was going to basically modify the building much the way the Varsity Theater building has been modified to totally obliterate its interior historic features and characteristics. And I just am dumbfounded that there wasn't better representation about the importance of the Fry's building. Sobrato, oddly enough, gets it right. They don't want the building to be changed, and it ought to remain, in my opinion, as a mixed commercial building, because that's the only way you're going to preserve the historic character. But the committee examining this just was tone deaf on it. And I saw a couple of Zoom meetings when they met, and I just don't get it. There are people there. Anyways, we ought to be watching that because that's an important building for Palo Alto.
Thank you, David. Anyone else before we adjourn? Okay, I don't even remember how to do this, but.
I think move to adjourn.
Can I make the motion to adjourn the meeting? Okay, so I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, I second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Can we voice vote? Can we voice vote on this one too? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. My job before our next meeting is to remember what I'm doing here. So
don't worry about it.
It'll be a big
Carolyn, you did a great job because you didn't even know you were going to be doing this. So don't worry about it, and it gets easier.
Thank you. Amy, will you hang around with me for a minute and we can get our next thing. And thank you all, and I will see you in a month.
Great. Nice to see you, everyone.
Hopefully in person a little bit.